Hi, I'm Michelle Hastings Simon, and when I'm not designing and executing marketing strategies, I'm listening to the P.O.W.E.R podcast by EVB.
Being a woman in business can be demanding and draining, but that has never deterred a determined woman to go after her dreams. That's why you're in the right place. This is the Power Plug Podcast, brought to you by EVB, where we believe in the power of you. At EVB, we're proud to be the first community bank in Virginia to reach out to women in business with a customized program designed to meet your unique needs. In each episode, expect to hear engaging interviews filled with advice, insights, and recommendations to charge you up and build your business. Now, for your host, Mary Foley.
Welcome back to the EVB Power Plug Podcast. I'm your host, Mary Foley, and this is episode 11. One I think you're going to love because we have a truly special guest, and we are talking about something truly key to growing and really keeping your business vibrant. Now, of course, we've talked about a lot of great topics on this podcast, including 4 shifts that women need to make for real business growth, the truth about credit, debt, and borrowing money, why a government loan is a really smart solution, even how to create a brand with impact, and why voice over internet protocol is a faster, cheaper, better business phone system. Now, if you've missed any of these episodes, consider it only temporary. I mean, with the magic wand of the internet, you can easily hear all these episodes and every new one that comes out by subscribing to the Power Plug podcast. You just go to evbpower.com. Then you click on the icons to download either the iTunes app if you have an iPhone or the Stitcher app if you have an Android phone. Then you click on the app, create a free account if you don't already have one, and then you can just listen anytime when you're driving, exercise, or whenever you want. So what are we talking about today? Well, how to truly make a marketing impact for your business on a small budget. And to help us figure that out is EVB's very own Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, Michelle Hastings Simon, one of the co-founders of the Power Plug program. Thing is, Michelle's creative brain, I'm telling you, I've witnessed this firsthand, never stops, which is one reason I think why she's been so successful. And another reason is she's got some great positive energy that's contagious. And she's loaned her talents to agencies like Charles Ryan and financial institutions like Bank of Virginia, First Community Bank, Cap One, and now EVB. One of her biggest strengths is moving easily from mission and strategy to implementation, problem solving, and follow through. And now we get to pick her brain. Michelle, great to have you here today on the EVB Power Plug podcast.
Thanks, Mary. It's great to be here today.
Well, I am really glad you're here, and I want to start out by asking you something that you had said before. I've heard you say that it's a common misconception that we have to have a big marketing budget to make a big marketing impact for our business. Tell me more. What do you mean by that?
Well, Mary, many times when I'm speaking with our business clients, they often believe that they have to have a very large marketing budget, as you said, to make an impact. But that couldn't be further from the truth. It's not always about how big your budget is, but really it's more about what your strategy is and ultimately what is your underlying goal. For instance, you can make a large media buy on all the local TV networks, but if you aren't speaking to the right target and using the right medium, unfortunately it can be money wasted. Additionally, with the advancement of digital marketing, and more specifically Facebook, as we all know, you can appropriately target your audience very precisely and not have to spend a ton of money to reach them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, as you're thinking about, first step in determining your goal, I mean, you really have to, spend some time thinking, again, what exactly am I trying to accomplish here? Is it, specifically of getting my phone to ring, or am I trying to launch a new product line, or I'm trying to create a new product line? So really thinking, through that as far as what specifically you're wanting to do, and then, thinking through, your strategies to go to market. But you don't. I mean, we see it with EVB. Everybody thinks, we're a large community bank, that we have these, millions of dollars of marketing dollars to spend. And, we really try to streamline our approach and be efficient as we can in our spending.
Okay, great. Because I was going to ask you, how do we actually create and execute a marketing strategy on a small budget? So it sounds like step one is to know really what your ultimate goal is. What are you really trying to achieve? What do I do next?
Yeah, so, talking about the goal, I mean, you can kind of visualize your goal as your roadmap. So really that is specifically of, like I said, what exactly you're trying to achieve here, and really focusing on what you want it to do, and not so much on your end product, because I see that a lot with people. I've seen that in my career. You immediately jump to, oh, well, what's the creative going to look like, or, what is the TV spot going to do, or what is our ad going to say? So I try to always employ the rule with marketing. You can have a really slick-looking ad, but if it doesn't deliver on your strategy and goal, it's money not well spent and not living up to its potential. So, as you're thinking about your goal, I said, just really stop and think through what exactly you're trying to do. Are you trying to drive foot traffic on either to your store, retail store, or your website? Or are you trying to get your phone to ring more? Or you may be a new business or launching a new product line. Or you're just trying to build awareness of who you are. And one thing, too, with goals that I think a lot of people miss is, you want to make sure that they're measurable, but you also want to make sure that they're achievable. Because, especially I'm guilty of this. I'm like, oh, we can do this. We can bring in all these customers and build this. And then I have to, have a reality check and say, okay, let's really stop and think here, Michelle. What is reasonable? And you want to set them high enough so that you can reach them. But if you do too high, then you just become frustrated, discouraged, and defeated. And so you certainly don't want to do that. So I think, that's important. And then prioritizing. So it's okay to have more than one goal. You certainly just don't want to have one. So you may have a couple, and then, sit there and think, okay, let's prioritize those goals of what's most important to me and what will give me the greatest return.
I love that achievable, that doable, because I can't do them all at the same time. I got all these other aspects of running my business. And so do you end up saying, all right, think about it over the course of perhaps several months or even 4 quarters of a year and spread it out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as I think about my planning, and I've always tried to employ this, I have an annual plan, and then think about, okay, what do I want to be year end? And every business owner does this. They know what they want their sales to be. And so you have your bigger goals, and then underneath that, I look at it on a quarter by quarter basis. And so I'll go ahead and plan out the year, knowing that, first quarter I'm going to focus on this, second quarter depending upon seasonality, what works in our industry, and then try to tackle them a quarter at a time. I think it's easier. It's easier on yourself because then you can break it down and it's not so overwhelming. But at the same time, you can really see where you are because, goals may shift. It's funny, here at EVB, ours are always shifting because, especially with P.O.W.E.R, because we're always, we're meeting our goals, exceeding our goals, and so we want to modify them, throughout the year. So what we started with January 1 is certainly not what we're going to end year end with.
But the planning itself and the thinking through is worthwhile doing, it sounds like, because when the shifts happen or when you need to adjust, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a place of having thought through these ways. So maybe it's more of a tweak than it is about a total redo.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I figured out my goals and I've even figured out with the sequencing over time. What do I do next?
So after that, I think it's very important to determine who your target audience is. So if you're marketing, from business to business, you can define your audience by your business type, location, size, and even your industry, whatever industry you're in. If you're marketing to consumers, then you would most likely focus more specifically at demographic profiles. For example, looking at age, income, location, lifestyle, shopping habits. If you're not exactly sure who your target audience is, or even you may know who your target audience is, but you really don't know these deliverables underneath that, you can do some research to determine that. And there's so much available online and offline, it can be easily accomplished. And I think, talking through that, doing the research, because a lot of business owners that I've talked to are like, oh, well, I have to hire a research firm and they have to survey my customers. And you can do this very easily on your own through many focus groups, through, gathering, your customers together, you're developing, a customer profile and just asking them questions, understanding more about who your target audience is. So, in my mind, that's very important because you've developed your strategy, you've got your goal, and now you got to figure out who you're going to talk to and, what their habits are.
Yeah. I love getting things in the mail. I know that some people still do direct mail. I mean, and it's still a viable option, marketing option. I love it though. The other day I got this. It was clearly an invitation to come to something, and it was, it was addressed to like John Smith, at my address. And I thought, this is so personalized. They're talking just to me, right? And I thought they're so missing the boat. And now, because they really probably didn't do their target market research, right? And maybe even if they did, they didn't personalize it. So I completely discredited them from the get-go. And I went, it's too bad you spent all that time and money trying to get addresses and sending it out and such, because you so didn't connect with me, assuming I was your target audience.
Right. Yeah, and, back to the digital conversation, which we talked about a few minutes ago, that's the beauty of digital advertising, too, because when you're dealing with broadcast or print or direct mail, you're kind of stuck in a box. I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but you look at, say for instance, you want to do TV, you look at your age and income, but you can only pick so many criteria. Where digital, you've got all kinds of choices to work through, and Facebook has a great tool for developing your audience and lookalike audiences and matching up to emails. So, you've got a lot of great tools available with you with digital that you can really hone in on your audience. And then the nice thing about digital, too, is that it's easily trackable. So, depending upon what type of email system that you have, you can go back and look at your open rates, your bounce rates, your clicks to certain pages on the website, and then you can, make some correlations between that with your target audience.
I've got to think over the course of your career, having been in marketing now for a while, it is just amazing how much information you can get, again, digitally, and measurement and target audience focus that you can do that at a relatively inexpensive, fast and cheap, relatively compared to when you first started in your career. I mean, it's just phenomenal, isn't it?
When I started out, it really was your broadcast, your newspaper, your offline channels. I mean, digital really has just exploded, and really in the last couple years, I mean, there's just so much to do with it, and that's the path that we're going to continue, and especially with mobile devices and targeting using those as well. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, the evolution of where we started and to where we are today it's mind-boggling. And it's really cool if you kind of sit back and look and what you've done over the course of the year and from a marketing perspective.
Oh, that's neat. Well, I'll tell you what, Michelle, already so much great stuff. We're just at step 2. Step 1, ask yourself, what are my goals? Step 1, what are my goals? Step 2, who is my target audience? We need to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's hear the additional steps to take to create and execute a marketing strategy. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Julie Hill, the Director of P.O.W.E.R at EVB. Every day I sit down and talk with Virginia women in business. I feel their passion, I see their commitment, and I hear their challenges. Sometimes that includes finding a banking partner who will truly listen and help them grow. That's what our P.O.W.E.R program is all about. To find out more, go to evbpower.com or reach out to me at julie.hill@bankevb.com and let's sit down and talk about your business. At EVB, we truly believe in the power of you because when women in business succeed, we all do.
Welcome back. This is Mary Foley, and today I'm talking with Michelle Hastings Simon, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at EVB and co-founder of the P.O.W.E.R program. Now, Michelle was sharing before break her steps to create and execute a marketing strategy, whether your budget is small or large. Step one was ask yourself, what are my goals? And then step two was, who is my target audience? All right, Michelle, what's step three? What do we do next?
So, Mary, for step three for me, after identifying those first two is really focusing on the core strategy and then, of course, the tactics. So, as I talk about strategy, what exactly are you going to do here? As we think about, whatever our goals are, what exactly are we going to do to reach our prospects or customers, our existing clients, and to meet, and ultimately, we want to exceed our goals, right? So we don't just want to set them. We want to go above and being high performers as we women are. So, one of the things I do is, again, there's a lot of time spent asking yourself questions. You just can't sit down and say, hey, this is going to be our marketing strategy. So really sitting down with yourself, your teammates, other people within your business, and talk about these goals and, brainstorm on what is your strategy to reach this audience. This could be something as simple as, defining your offer. So, what's your price point? What are you offering your clients? Or it's simply how you're going to reach your target audience. So it could be a sales calling campaign. It could be an awareness campaign. It could be, running what's your media strategy going to be. Thinking about, going a little bit deeper, looking at customer appreciation events and, retention programs, loyalty programs, or, is it something, you want to do email campaign to your clients? Additionally, then we get into, the whole PR field that's underneath your strategy, because you can have an advertising strategy, but then you also need a strong public relations strategy. And of course, we at EVB and with the P.O.W.E.R program, we do a lot of that. And so making sure that your sponsorships, what you do out in the community, align up with your organization. Making sure that you get the most out of those sponsorships. So, we do quite a bit of that, as I mentioned, in P.O.W.E.R, and it's not just a matter of us targeting organizations we want to be part of because they have some cool and fun events, although we women love to go to these events. It's really making sure we get the most out of it and sitting down and thinking through, what do we want to deliver with this sponsorship? So if we're promoting a particular event, it's not just getting our logo and stroking a check and having a link on our website, but, what are we going to do at the event? What are we going to give out at the event? How are we going to follow up with, our leads or women that we run into? What's our strategy there? The other thing is you can do so much that you don't have to spend money yourself with social media, with, everybody wants information now. I mean, you have the ability to go out and talk about it on your Facebook page and then, tag people in your community or tag your friends, so that they can share it out. Especially if it's newsworthy, that's the other thing. There's so much free PR out there that you don't really have to spend a ton of money. And if you are a business that's into a lot of networking organizations, partner with them and say, hey, this is great for your members, and get them to, share in on that as well. I try to look at it from a cooperative perspective. A lot of times you think co-op advertising, co-op marketing is only for the big national brands, and that's so not true. I mean, you can do it on the local level, especially if you're in a business that you have a lot of vendors that you can work with. For instance, if you are a builder and, say you build homes and you have your vendors, your core vendors that you work with, you have your flooring companies and your plumbers and who you buy your fixtures from, you can partner with them to help share in the cost or share your marketing message.
That's a really great insight, because I was just thinking as you're sharing all of that through social media, we all kind of immediately get, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else, you click on like, or you click on share, you add a comment, you pass it on, right? And you therefore share it and expose it with all the people who are following you or engaged with you in that social media. We think of sharing in that way, but then we could carry that over to these kind of offline activities as well, and that may now shift your thinking, because the old school is I pay for this, I just only do that, whereas maybe new school is, hey, there's sharing, like you call cooperative perspective on these other activities as well. That's great. I love that.
Great.
Okay, so all right, so we've got, it sounds like step 3. What exactly are you going to do to reach our prospects? Does that put a bow on it, or do we have a step 4?
Well, you've got to be able to pay for it.
Details.
Details. I mean, being in banking. So, it all comes down to the budget. And, of course, that's the fun part. Joking. But, one thing I'll say, and I've read a ton online, talking to other marketing experts. I know when I first started my career out, that the rule of thumb was you always base your marketing budget on a % of sales. And you can do that. If you're comfortable doing that. But honestly, I personally feel it's whatever you're comfortable spending. There's so many tactics out there, as I mentioned, and we've talked a lot about digital, that there is an appropriate mix to fit the tightest of budgets. So, that's one thing that I think to stress is that the whole point of this, you don't have to have this huge budget to make an impact. And especially now with the expansion of social and digital, you can definitely develop your strategy on a lean budget. That's definitely possible. The other thing that I would also mention, and you see this more and more, and you see it everywhere you go, is branding. And I know Laura Wagner was on a couple of weeks ago talking about the importance of branding. But even your dentist, even your, I was actually a orthodontist a couple of weeks ago and looked at what they had done, and they had rebranded their office. So, I mean, branding is so important too, that fits right into this from a marketing perspective, and people notice that. So, just thinking about from a budget perspective, not getting caught up on how much I have to spend is really of, sitting back and thinking, what am I comfortable with, and then working it into my business plans.
I love that. And also, from this, you didn't put the money first. You just said, okay, I know I'm going to have a small budget, or nobody has unlimited funds on this. I don't care how big you are, right? I mean, that's kind of an illusion. But what I'm hearing you say is, don't start necessarily with the money. Start with the goals. Then go to who's my target audience, what exactly would be the tactics and the things I'm going to specifically do to reach those prospects, brainstorm on that, narrow that down, and then say, okay, now what's my budget? And then obviously you go back to those tactics, it sounds like, and you decide which ones you're really going to put money towards and implement.
Correct.
That sounds great. Well, so I got to ask you, because you're co-founder of the P.O.W.E.R program as well as your chief marketing officer for EVB, and how did you use these steps and this approach when marketing and getting the word out about the P.O.W.E.R program?
Well, we actually, when we developed P.O.W.E.R, we used all of these steps, which is, great, because we're actually, delivering on what exactly we said we would. So when P.O.W.E.R was created, we knew that we wanted to be the bank that believed in women. That was the easy part. Coming up with the name and the definition, of course, that was the fun part as well. But when we were setting our goals, we worked as a team to really develop a variety of those goals that focused on a couple things. So we focused on, obviously, the number of relationships that we wanted to grow the program. We focused on what our financial performance was going to be. But most importantly, we focused on building awareness for the program. And then out of that, our strategy was developed, that we pretty simply, we just wanted to deliver on our mission, believing in the power of women in business. And we built the program specifically for that purpose. And then we developed the deliverables. So, we have our sponsorship plans. We have even down to our branded goods, our promotional items, and developed the tools on our website. Really looked at ways that we could engage with our clients, so it would all, work together. So, we started with the goals and then built out from there. And then, of course, budget obviously came into that, as far as what we wanted to spend on developing all of this.
I do want to ask you a little bit more about the P.O.W.E.R program, because the P.O.W.E.R program is by a bank, obviously EVB, but it includes more opportunities than a typical bank. So how can EVB P.O.W.E.R help me as a business owner with my marketing?
Our main goal was not just to provide banking services, but provide resources and education opportunities to help our women grow their businesses. So helping make connections and introductions for women in the program was one of our top goals. And we really believe we've delivered on that and continue to perfect that. That's the other thing, is we're not done, with that. So through our events, through the events we support, through our partnerships with other organizations, we can introduce you to potential clients and resources to help you grow your business. And so that's great, because we're a catalyst to help make those connections. And we've taken it a step further with P.O.W.E.R, and we developed this online directory that's available only at evbpower.com. And this gives you the opportunity where you can market yourself to potential clients online and offer them a perk for doing business with you. And that's all part of being part of the program. The directory is also great because it also is a resource center for you. So not only are we helping you market yourselves and get exposed to other women, but then we're also giving you a resource. Say, hey, you need a new accountant, or you're starting out and you need a attorney, an accountant, and a marketing partner. We have those resources available online that's full of women in business that offer service you may need. And then additionally, we have a calendar of our events calendar that we update frequently on a monthly basis and share it out on Facebook and with our other P.O.W.E.R clients. And, we have a lot of organizations, we have a lot of women in the program asking, how can I get my event on that P.O.W.E.R events calendar? So, they're definitely working there. Additionally, one of the services that we offer that we love to do is, consulting. So we truly believe in our mission of, promoting women in business, and that's not just from a banking perspective. That's, full circle. And so, providing a consultation and, helping women think about how to market their business, that's another great tool that we can certainly, we do today and want to continue to do, partnering with our business clients.
If you're a P.O.W.E.R customer, I'm a resource. And I thought that was huge, just for some quick advice. So this expanding even into other areas of consulting, perhaps it's marketing, perhaps it's other, that's something you're continuing to do and develop, sounds like.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Wow. Well, I knew it was more than a bank, but I love how you articulated that. Let's say I'm listening right now, and I'm interested in contacting somebody at EVB P.O.W.E.R to talk about this further. Maybe I'm a customer already and I want to, really tap into this, or perhaps I'm not a P.O.W.E.R customer and I'm really interested in understanding how I could. Who should I specifically contact?
So what we want to do is direct you to our website. You can go to evbpower.com and you can contact us directly through there, or you can, call us. All the information's out there because we have a core team behind the scenes that's ready to answer. And of course, we've got Julie Hill, our director of P.O.W.E.R, that can help facilitate those conversations as well.
Oh, love her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michelle, you're easy to talk to, and this has really been fun talking to you today, and I so appreciate you sharing your advice on how every small business owner can create a powerful marketing strategy, whether we've got a big budget or a smaller one. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun.
All of us have powerful women in our lives, just like the one on today's podcast. At EVB, we're bringing these amazing women together to be a part of something special. Our P.O.W.E.R program is unlike any other. We not only have banking and financial options, we also provide opportunities for you to promote your business and to make valuable connections. To find out more, please contact me, Julie Hill, the Director of P.O.W.E.R, at julie.hill@bankevb.com. I look forward to it.
Wow, that was fast. But we hope that you're feeling recharged and re-energized to continue to power up your business and go after your dreams. Love this Power Plug episode? Let us know. Leave a comment on Facebook or visit us at evbpower.com, where you can hear more episodes just like this one to keep believing in the power of you, just like we do.